Welcome to the podcast, Restore Yourself, Restore Your Marriage, where it's all about discovering the thoughts that get you in the mood, the thoughts that get you out of the mood, and how creating a deeper connection with yourself creates a deeper connection with your spouse. I'm your coach, Shelly Anderson, coaching you through life, love, and intimacy. This is episode number 168, Resolving the Mystery of Disconnection with Intimacy. Ooh, yes. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining today. We are going to get into something very exciting. Now, I have known that this particular episode has been coming for a little bit of time, and I am super excited to talk about something that really helps act as a awesome solution to this problem that we're facing, this disconnection. This is what I see the most when I start working with clients and with couples, is that there is a major disconnection taking place, especially for women, for the wives, between themselves and their sexual experience. They often feel like something is missing, or that it feels empty, or that it's just an act. And they feel like that the emotional connection that they are longing for is not there. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but when we are not enjoying something and we don't like it, often there is a reason behind it, whether it's that we are not understanding something correctly or we're lacking information. And so therefore, our understanding of something is very limited. And when our understanding is limited, we usually do not enjoy that thing. And often this is the case when it comes to intimacy. We're often lacking vital information about the female arousal system. And therefore, many components are being left out or neglected. And it ends up leading to an experience, especially for the women, that feels incomplete. Like they are longing for more, and maybe they don't know how to totally communicate and verbalize what it is that's actually missing. They know that there's an emotional disconnect for sure. Now, what do we do with this disconnection that's taking place? Well, first of all, it is happening worldwide, right? This is not just something that's happening to only one or two people. This is happening to most women who are married, because the information that is out in the world is male-based. And so we are being raised kind of with a one-sided type of education that is more based on male arousal and not female arousal. So what we want to do is kind of shift things around. We need to have a little bit of a revolution here when it comes to the intimate experience. And instead of only focusing on the quantity, right, how much sex we're having, we need to have a shift over to the quality. What is the quality of this sexual experience? We often know about this quality versus quantity. This is not a new concept, but perhaps we have not applied it to our intimate experience. And so what we need to do is have this shift where we start focusing on the quality of the experience, and we need to use the female arousal system as one of the main components, one of the main fundamentals of the experience. And here's the reason why. The male arousal system works for men. The female arousal system works for women and men. It is an all-inclusive approach. Everything that is included in the man's sexual journey will be included in this system when you put the female arousal system as a fundamental. The man's is included. Now, if we try to reverse it and say, okay, let's only use the male arousal system, This does not work because it excludes the female components for her arousal. It excludes it. That means it's usually non-existent. And most women don't know about this, and most men don't know about this. And so we're trying to create this beautiful, intimate experience, but we're lacking the information of what the ingredients need to be. So if you don't know what the prerequisites are for female arousal, this is good news because you can find it out, right? You can put it back in. So you and your spouse want to start operating from an all-inclusive system, which is the female arousal system. So if that is the solution, what does that look like, right? How do we do that? I'm sure you guys have heard by now, you've heard me talk about something called the intimacy trek, and that is the system that you need to start operating on. It is the all-inclusive system. That means the men's experience is part of it, and the female's prerequisites are also part of it, right? So it becomes an all-inclusive experience. So we have been working on something for probably the last year and a half, and it's called Saintly Sutra. And this is the solution to what is happening out in the world there. This is our approach using the intimacy track and the all-inclusive female arousal system as a foundation to how you approach intimacy with your spouse. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that this works 100% with Anderson coaching, right? Because we have taken all of the principles of the self-coaching model and we have included them. Yes, this is what is not happening out in the world. That means our thoughts and our emotions are now going to be a central part of the intimate experience. They are no longer going to be left out. This is what women have been waiting for. Yes, it has arrived. And the awesome thing about this is for husbands, if you're like, I don't want to sit and have 2-hour conversations with my wife just to have sex, that is not what this means, right? It's just having the understanding of how emotions are involved. It doesn't mean that a 2-hour conversation is now required, okay? It does not mean that. So for all the women listening to this, I want you to get excited, right? Because this is finally going to answer that question like, oh my gosh, something is missing. Yes, we know. And this is the solution. But also, you can get excited to share this with your husbands because guess what? They know something is missing, but they don't know what is missing. And so this is going to help clarify for them what has been missing. Once they start learning these things, the intimacy track and the all-inclusive female arousal system, they are going to have a clear understanding that things have been missing. And it's going to become very clear that there are easy things that they can put right back into the sequence, right back into the system that they have never spent time putting in to the experience. So they are going to have a clear knowledge that things have been missing, and now it's time to put those things back in. This system will make them a better lover, and they will like that. So I love this. We have been working very hard on this because it helps it helps bridge the gap of what's been missing for women, and it gives the knowledge to the husbands of what's been missing. Okay. Now I want to explain just a little bit about it. While most people have probably heard of Kama Sutra and have an understanding that pleasure and sexual positions are involved, Saintly Sutra helps create a deeper connection. Now, it's a deeper connection to yourself, to your spirit, right? So there is a spiritual element to this. For sure, there is a spiritual component. So whatever spiritual route and belief system that you have, it is now going to be included, not excluded. It is now going to be included. You know what else is included? Your senses, all 5 senses. You are going to create a deeper connection to your spouse and sexual sensations. We are going to pay a little bit closer attention to the senses, to your body and how your body experiences the senses, and also the sensations of the skin. Sometimes we totally tune out to this. And Saintly Sutra is going to invite you to tune back in. It is all about creating an experience where all of these elements work together in a way that is more holistic, right? And where pleasure is enhanced by the all-inclusive approach. So instead of coming away from sex thinking, gosh, like something is missing, this is saying, yeah, we know something is missing and we're putting those things back in. So when you are done having sex, you're like, oh my gosh, that was such a different experience than what I've had for the last 10 years. So if we take a little bit of a deeper dive, let's look at some of these words. The word sutra means a precept or a collection of teachings. Okay. Now, a precept is a collection of principles. I love this concept. It is a collection of principles intended as a general way to regulate thoughts and behaviors, which are advisory but not obligatory and are typically communicated through teaching. I love everything about this definition, right? Because this is what life coaching is all about. It is about our thoughts. And Sutra recognizes this. It says we have got to pay attention to the thoughts we are having about ourselves and our relationship with sex, about our spouse, the thoughts we're having about him and his relationship to sex, and sex itself. Our brain has a lot of thoughts on this topic. And for most of my clients, most women, they're not good thoughts. And so we need to start to pay attention to what is going on with our thoughts. I also love that this definition talks about that it is going to be inviting us to take a closer look at how our thoughts affect our feelings and then the behaviors we take towards sex. But it's going to give us suggestions that are advisory and not obligatory, right? This is one of the biggest traps that couples fall into, is that they feel like they're having sex out of duty, right? It's their duty to be a good wife. It's a wife's good duty to be a good wife and to have sex with her husband and to fulfill his needs. And we are going to step away from that approach and say, no, let's look at all the options of how we can approach sex with different thoughts, different intentions, different inspirations, different values, different meanings. And this is going to change how we show up for sex and then our experience with it. So we're not going to be approaching sex from a duty standpoint anymore. So Saintly Sutra's approach to sex and intimacy is very different than the Kama Sutra. If you look at the word kama from the Kama Sutra, that translates to love, desire, and pleasure. So Kama Sutra roughly translates to a pleasure manual. It is mainly about pleasure and positions, and that's usually what you see in Kama Sutra books. Saintly Sutra takes it much deeper than just positions and pleasure. We like to take the approach that when your thoughts are aligned with your values and your beliefs and your spirituality, that totally changes the experience. And then it is much easier to achieve pleasure when those core foundations have been put into the mix. Now, What are some of the core concepts? Well, we have a few, and I want to invite everyone to check out the website, saintlysutra.com, and it has some of these things in much more detail. But we have meaningfulness, right? That means before you enter into any sexual experience, you decide ahead of time, what is my intention going to be with this experience? What is it going to mean for me? It can have personal discovery as a meaning. It can have spirituality as a meaning. It could have exploration as a meaning. It's endless what the meanings could be. But the point is that you give the experience a meaning that you like, that matters to you. That is key. Now, here is another core concept that most people will probably not think twice about and overlook and think it doesn't matter. And that is the core concept of relaxation. Stress is the biggest blocker for women to tune into their desire for intimacy. So when we are feeling stressed, our body is going to start to contract. Our muscles will contract. And when high levels of cortisone, the stress hormone, enters into our brain and into our body, it is going to block the hormones that help with desire. People do not talk about this out in the world. We have to pay attention to our stress levels and make a conscious effort to actually create relaxation. So with Saintly Sutra, we like to invite everyone to come up with some relaxation rituals. It could be as simple as taking a bath, right? Oh, think about baths. They're so relaxing and comforting and soothing. And so we invite you to really think about having a relaxation ritual at the beginning of any sexual experience. Part of the female anatomy needs the muscles that are down there to actually relax. And we're not taught this. We're not taught this, but this is important. Another core concept is mystery and discovery. So with Saintly Sutra, we do not promote lingerie, right? You guys probably already have a drawer full of that you're not using. We like a different approach where we use cover-ups and robes because this invites mystery. We don't show up and say, here's everything. There's nothing left to discover. We like to say, hey, this is going to be an experience, and I am going to reveal parts of myself throughout this experience along the way. And the more trust that I feel and the more confident I feel in the experience, the more I'm going to reveal. So cover-ups and robes and the process of revealing is a core component of Saintly Sutra. Sensual bliss. What is this? Now, this is where we start to say we need the holistic approach. We need our thoughts on board. We need our emotions on board so that we can feel the entire experience on a much deeper emotional level. Now, I want to pause here for a minute because again, it doesn't mean we have to have these long emotional conversations, right? It's just important that we start to tune into our emotions and say, what emotions do I enjoy feeling that draw me closer to my spouse? I'll tell you one of mine. And the reason I'm going to bring this one up is because I've been feeling this emotion a lot, especially this last week. And that is the emotion of accomplishment. I have been diving deep into several aspects of my business. A lot of times it's the aspects I don't always enjoy, which is very interesting. It's the running of the business, right? It is the nitty gritty. It is the tech side. It is the business side. And a lot of times I'm not always very excited about that side of it. I just know it has to be done. But when I can dive into it with different thoughts, the whole experience is different. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm enjoying this. I used to not like this, but I am enjoying this part of the business. I'm getting this done, which I've struggled with. I'm getting this done, which I've struggled with. And because I'm accomplishing these things that I've struggled with, I feel amazing. And now that I feel accomplished, where is my husband? Where are you? Let's celebrate. Let's have some sex. And the thing is like, that's not a forced thing. That is a natural progression. It's a natural progression. And so when we talk about this holistic approach, it's learning about what some of those other emotions are that actually say, yes, when I feel that, now I have a desire to be intimate. Most women don't know what those other emotions are. Saintly Sutra invites you to learn what they are and to explore them. Another core component of Saintly Sutra is consensus, right? Consensual confidence. So this is like getting permission to even start the process and move from one section of the sequence to the next. Let's be more transparent about it. Let's have a dialogue about it. I remember one time Nick and I had an experience where we were out on the balcony and we were making out and it was awesome. And he was like, let's take this to the bedroom. And I was like, oh, no. I'm not quite ready yet. Like I need a little bit more in this zone that we're in to take my body into arousal. I wasn't quite into arousal yet. I was probably halfway. And so us being able to have that dialogue of this consensus, like, hey, are you ready? Is your body ready? And for me to tune in and say, not quite. Let's explore arousal a little bit more. I need more in that space before my body is ready. That is huge. So it's very interesting because intimacy is something we usually look forward to once we're married. And then we're married and there is a shift that happens, especially for women, where all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, I'm like a convenience store. I need to be like open and ready for sex 24/7. And then that's when things start to feel like duty, right? Or pity. And we want to take that back out of the experience because duty sex is not usually very exciting for the wife. So when we start asking permission, like, hey, is your body ready? Hey, are you ready to go to the next phase? All of a sudden, she, in her experience, is now put back in and she could say, I do need a little more time here. I love this idea of the asking the permission. And that is a core component. And then another core component is the use of mantras and effective communication. Now, with mantras, that's not necessarily me giving you all the mantras to use. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is going back to your thoughts and back to your intention, your purpose, your meaningfulness of why you are going to have the upcoming sexual experience that you're going to have, and coming up with that one sentence, that one phrase, that one mantra you're going to have in your mind. So when your mind starts to wander, like it does a lot for women, we start thinking about our to-do list. We can use that sentence that we've created ahead of time to draw our mind back into the experience. Oh, yes, that's right. That's what I'm going to be focused on. So we invite everyone to create their own mantras, personal mantras, unique ones that have significance to them, and to write it down even before they go into their intimate experience with their spouse. And as far as communication goes, I'm sure a lot of you have heard me talking about communicating on the scale. And we actually take this to another level. Instead of using just a scale of 1 to 10, we actually expand this. We go from -20 all the way to a +20. And we go into detail about why that is. And that is a very, very important component, especially while you are in the process of making love to your spouse. Once you can communicate on this scale from -20 to +20, you could say, you know what, this is actually painful. This is a -7 for me. That is vital information, instead of just staying silent and then hoping that there will be an adjustment made. This gives you an actual way to communicate in a way that is clear and is not offensive, right? We just need to make some adjustments to take things back up on the scale. Now, another main part of Saintly Sutra is using our senses. And so on our website, you are going to see an entire section that is devoted to this. We like to use the sense of smell and what our skin experiences and how we are incorporating our senses. And so we have an entire section that lists many different scents that we use in our products that we sell online and why they're valuable. So as you read about these different scents, why lavender is important, or vanilla, jasmine, citrus, rose, bergamot, as you read through them, you will start to have an understanding of yourself. Isn't that fascinating? As you read about bergamot, you could say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I probably need that scent to help me with my relaxation more, with my stress. Bergamot helps with stress scientifically. So if you find that you are running on high stress levels, it's time to put bergamot into the mix. And we sell candles, we sell bath bombs with these very specific scents for this reason. There's a lot of awesome scents out in the world, but we are looking for scents that actually help create that relaxation and lower the stress, lower the cortisol levels. So I invite you to take a look at the website, look at those scents, discover which ones actually resonate with you. Other scents can help with boost your mood and give you a sense of energy, right? Sometimes after a long day, you're like, oh my gosh, I probably need a boost of energy right now. Or they could be like, this scent helps you actually feel kind of sexy. It helps get you in the mood. So you can start to think about yourself and look at these scents and say, this scent is exactly what I need to help me with this. And on the website, we also have some intimacy guides. We have one that's called Our Secret Bedroom Language, one that's specifically about the intimacy trek, which is mastering her advanced and sophisticated arousal system, right? Women need to know this for themselves, and their husbands need to know this about their wife. So these bundles or these booklets are going to be vital. And then the last one we have is called Sensational Connection Booklet. And it teaches you, again, this holistic approach to intimacy and not just this wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And we can mark that off the to-do list. Now, why is all this important? Well, the cool thing is on our website, you can kind of customize the experience that you want to have. You can get a Saintly Sutra box with your own cover-up in it. We have 3 different cover-ups right now available. They're super cute. And you can pick a cover-up that you want to have. You can get a variety of bath bombs, and then you can pick the scented candle that you want. And it will come with the booklets, all 3 booklets. So we have this awesome Saintly Sutra package for you, but you get to create what goes inside so that the experience is yours. I love this. You get to create the experiences that you want to have. Now, a lot of times when women are struggling with intimacy, they're not enjoying sex. In life, when we don't like something, it's because we're lacking the information. We're lacking the why behind it, right? Saintly Sutra is inviting you to put that back in for yourself, right? Not for your spouse. You need to do it for yourself. So as you start to understand the things that have been missing, there is going to be a shift there. And like I said before, husbands will also enjoy this because they're going to realize that they have been missing things in the sexual experience, and they're going to want to put it back in. They're going to want to put the mental and the emotional and the spiritual parts back in. The cool thing about Saintly Sutra is that a lot of times people disconnect being sexual and sensual and sexy. They disconnect that from the spiritual. And Saintly Sutra is here to say you can be deeply spiritual and deeply sensual at the same time. It is totally possible. That is what Saintly Sutra is all about, is to teach you how to do that. You don't have to give up your spirituality, your core beliefs, your values. You don't have to give them up to have an awesome, intimate life. You need to combine them. You need to involve them. And we're here to help you do that. So Saintly Sutra, as we get to the end of this podcast, is here. It was created to help you and your spouse approach intimacy from a much broader lens, a more inclusive lens, a more holistic lens that involves the mental aspect, mental health, and the emotional aspect, emotional well-being. If we are having sex and we're mentally disconnected from it and don't have our own reasons and then therefore mad about it, this is not a good experience. And this will trigger out into the other aspects of our lives. So when we start to address our sex life, we will improve the other areas of our lives by default. It's amazing. This is a win-win. So if you get a chance, click on saintlysutra.com today, because remember, the holidays are coming up, and this is a fabulous, fabulous gift to give yourself. But it is also a fabulous gift to give your marriage. So really check it out. And I also want to just point out that while we have this website up and running and we have a lot of our core components on here and our philosophy and our products, there is more that is coming, which is the actual program part of Saintly Sutra. That is where some more of the teaching and the deeper dives into the coaching aspect are going to come into play. And so be on the lookout. It will be coming soon, and I will make sure to let you all know. But make sure you go check out saintlysutra.com today, because remember, the more you restore this type of intimacy with yourself, the more you restore it with your spouse. Thank you so much for listening today, and I hope you will join me again next week.